Hello. Today we'll be talking about the African American Chamber of Commerce with activist, educator, and loyalist, and one who has historian, Evelyn Preston, today on The Bernie Hayes Show. And welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes, and as I promised you, my guest is Evelyn Preston. Ms. Preston, how are you?
I'm very well, Bernie. Thank you.
It's so good to see you. It's been a long time.
It has been, yes.
But you're still looking well. Are you vaccinated? Are you safe?
Trying to be, Bernie.
That's wonderful. Ms. Preston, the African American Chamber of Commerce. Tell us about it, what it is, and a little bit of history of it.
Well, the African American Chamber of Commerce was incorporated in 1988. It came out of a need for what I felt businesses to come together and be organized. It was the fifth, at that time they were called Black Chambers of Commerce. It was the fifth one incorporated in the country. It was something that came to me because I had promoted. I didn't know at the time that it would turn out to be the largest convention ever to come to St. Louis in 1983, which was the Shriner Convention. And I just saw, working downtown with the hotels and making the arrangements for the Shriners. I didn't know it would be the largest convention ever to come to St. Louis. I got involved in that because I heard the convention was coming to town. I went downtown in January. The convention came in August, when the people, the head of the organization, came to look over the hotels. And I remember it was cold that night, and what I saw, I didn't particularly care for. I had some concern about. The elderly people, the older ones, were in town. They had them separated, and I think in different hotels. And I think it was, in my mind at that time, it was dealing with finance as to where they placed them. And I saw it as an inconvenience for the people, the elderly ones. So I got involved in that. And I wound up getting some changes with the hotel arrangements, went on to book the entertainment that they wanted, Mr. Johnny Taylor at that time, and just did the arrangements for him. It turned out to be several meetings with, I think it was Madonna Temple 39 there on Olive.
Right.
And also at that time had the opportunity to work with you. You were very kind at that time. You gave us a lot of PR on your radio show, and that really helped out. But anyway, the bottom line is it turned out to be the largest convention ever to come to St. Louis. And as a result of that, I saw St. Louis beginning to reach out to more African American organizations to come to the city to have conventions. And that was, of course, more money in their pockets, but the money wasn't coming into the African American community.
Sure.
Now, one of the things with that convention, my goal was to bring some of that money west of Tucker Boulevard. And to do that, we had put in place some buses that would take the people from the hotel and bring them to establishments west of Tucker Boulevard. And that proved to be successful and profitable to some of the people that had businesses beyond Tucker Boulevard, mostly up on Grand Avenue.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So a successful convention. After that, I joined an organization called the Coalition of Black Meeting Planners out of Jamaica, New York. and they were very helpful. And I noticed that when I met with them in Texas, in Dallas, the next meeting scheduled, they had been reached out to from St. Louis, Missouri, to come to St. Louis, and which said to me that St. Louis really saw the market in African American organizations. It was a great market for them to bring these organizations to St. Louis for different conventions.
Sure.
But African Americans really I did not see African Americans benefiting financially from any of these conventions coming to St. Louis. As a result, I went to New Orleans for a Chamber of Commerce convention. I didn't know too much about that organization then. But I learned a lot, got a chance to meet a lot of people, even from the assistant governor of the Virgin Islands. We stayed in contact with each other for a while. But I decided to establish a chamber in St. Louis, which I did in 1988, with the thought in mind to help our African American businesses here.
I remember very well that it was very big, and you're doing many, many things. And I attended that convention that you're talking about, the largest one that you're talking about, and Medina Temple 39, and Johnny Taylor performed, and Johnny was a good friend of mine, a very personal friend. So you had the vision of all these wonderful people coming together and making St. Louis a hub because of the location, or because you love the city, or why did you choose St. Louis to love so much?
It's a combination. I do love the city.
Yeah.
And St. Louis has a rich history, African American history,
Sure.
which seemingly has been swept under the rug. This city was founded by an African American gentleman, DuSable. This I read in our school books in 7th and 8th grade history. But the school books that we had, and we had the same school books, history books in South City, and when they came to us in the northern part of town. The only thing they were older, they had them in South City when they were new.
Sure, so you got the hand-downs.
Right.
Right.
But I learned from the hand-me-downs, what we got, we studied. Also, Lovejoy, Illinois, after slavery, was the second most heavily populated city in the country with African Americans coming from the South. Yeah. And let me kind of dovetail on that. I met a gentleman that was from Lovejoy, Illinois. Cyrus Garrett is his name. And Mr. Garrett told me that they would just sit every day. Of course, Bernie was no television or anything like that at that time. People would sit on the front porch in notebooks and just write, well, this is Tommy's first day of school, or Helen has some new ribbon in her hair. Just writing down what was going on around them. And he had 5 notebooks that he gave to me with this kind of thing in it, this type of information. But Mr. Garrett wound up going to Rolla School of Mines, and he got a master's degree down there. And Mr. Garrett was drafted into the military, World War II. And his job was to lower the temperature of the torpedoes when they came off the side of the ships. They would come off the side of the ships at maybe about 10,000 degrees. And he was able to do that.
Okay. We got to take a short break, Evelyn. I'm sorry to interrupt you, because this is a very interesting story. I really want to continue to listen to that. But we're at the New Life Evangelistic Center, 2428 Woodson Road in Olean, Missouri, 63114. And we need your help and support. Reverend Larry Rice has been helping the poor and those in need for more than 50 years. We need your help, your support, and continue to support the New Life Evangelistic Center. We'll be right back with Evelyn Preston after this.
This is an opportunity that God has given all of us at this time to work together to reopen 1411 Locust, which is so urgently needed at this community. I thank God for Bernie Hayes and for his support and standing with us all these particular years. Now it's so critical that you and I do our part also, as Bernie's been partnering with us here at NLEC TV. We've continued to maintain faith, continue to move forward, and now the doors have been opened. The City of St. Louis has approved our architectural plans. We've been given the go-ahead to make the necessary renovations that are needed. We need some miracles, and that's why I'm asking all of you prayer warriors out there, all of you that are going to use that mustard seed of faith to remove the mountains. There's some mountains. Rich and powerful people have moved back in the neighborhood, and they don't want 1411 Locust to open. They'd rather leave the people out on the street to slowly die, starved, used, misused, worked over by drug dealers, alcohol, and everything else. We want this place to be a place of hope for those that have lost all hope. And we want to open the doors, and we can do it. As you prayer warriors, go to God in earnest prayer, knocking on the doors of heaven. When He says, ask, it shall be given you, seek, and you shall find, knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Please continue to pray. Pray that God will just let the financial resources come in so we can make all of these repairs. He'll raise up the dedicated laborers for the harvest, that we will continue to see Him do exceedingly abundantly beyond what we can even ask or think. Yes, this is a spiritual battle. The principality and powers are fighting from every direction, but greater is He who's in us than he that's in the world. And that's why I'm asking all of you to join us in prayer. Believe God with us. Contact us at New Life Evangelistic Center if you believe that there's people God laid on your heart that we should see. Ask for myself, Larry Rice, or my grandson, Chris Aaron Rice, that we can go visit and share the dream with you, and call us at 314-421-3020. Please pray. Get involved now. We need the body of Christ to arise as we work together to reopen this building for the glory of God.
Thank you, Lord.
Welcome back. Evelyn Preston is our guest today from the African American Chamber of Commerce. And Ms. Preston, you were telling us a wonderful story about Mr. Garrett. Please continue.
All right. Mr. Garrett served in World War II, as I said. Also, he was called back to serve in the Korean War. Then he settled, well, he taught at Lincoln University where he met his wife. He settled here in St. Louis, working on the arch. That was the electricians union. Electricians union was all white at that time. I don't know if it is now, but
IBEW, yes.
They finished up had finished up the arch, and they contacted the people in Washington and said, well, we're ready. We got this arch ready. And people in Washington said, well, no, you're not ready. You haven't you need a flashing red light up there. Nobody knew how to do that had worked on the arch down there. Hence, Mr. Garrett comes forth.
Wow.
And Mr. Garrett showed me a picture of him in the Post-Dispatch installing that flashing red light on top of the arch. Getting back to people don't know their history, know what's going on.
Yeah, that's a bit of history I never heard of.
Yeah, when when they had the second opening recently, 2-3 years ago, of the arch, there were no African Americans there because they didn't know any that had worked on the arch, supposedly. So I pointed out or informed a young man that I know went to school with that worked for the Danfords, and he informed them, and hence the Danfords had a second grand opening of the arch, including African Americans in the story about Mr. Garrett.
That's great. I know that also left out the celebration of Percy Green climbing the arch because of the inconsistencies and inequities among African Americans' jobs there. And we talk about Percy Green.
Yes.
We also think about Percy Green and Norman Say and Miss Odom. And we also think about the Jefferson Bank, demonstrations. And I understand that you have a little history of that too. Tell us about your involvement in Jefferson Bank.
As I said, I was the only one that marched there every day. And mostly Bill Clay, Percy Green. There was a gentleman, was a teacher. I think his last name was Offit. The men volunteered. I mean, to get locked up.
Sure.
They spent the time in jail.
Norman Say and all that.
Yes, they did. And I was younger. I was more or less a foot soldier. As I would walk, I would go to school. Harris had moved down. That was '63. Harris had moved down on the Cleve, and I had class from 8 to 4. I had an hour for lunch, and I would walk over to Jefferson Bank from Harris Stowe.
3026 Leclerc.
You're right. Dropped my books down. Never talked. We never talked. We just walked. And one of the students, because it got down to 2 people. It would be me and a white guy, or me and 2 white guys down there. But I was there every day. And after I walked, I'd pick my books up and go catch the bus. But we could not have made it without those gentlemen going to jail. We got the publicity. Early part of us being down there to try to intimidate us, they went by Mr. and Mrs. Odom's house and picked her up. And
Marion Odom.
Yeah, Marion Odom, and drove her around all night in the paddy wagon.
Wow.
You know, but we prevailed. She didn't let that stop her, nor did Mr. Odom with what he was doing as an attorney.
Yeah.
And finally, we prevailed on that after, I think it was almost 30 days.
Okay. Charles and Marion Odom. Tell me, how can one reach you, Ms. Preston, to talk about what's happening now with the African American Chamber of Commerce here in St. Louis?
All right. What we're doing now is that we're making some changes. We're going through some transitioning. My role will be one mostly in an advisory capacity, but we're office is located at 4387 Laclede Avenue. This interview came up rather rapidly. So, but we have not, the phone's not hooked it up, but should be hooked up perhaps by the time this program airs.
Sure.
But I looked around at some needs maybe that the chamber could meet, the helping the business, the people that are in business, and we're going to add to the chamber an education component.
Okay.
I think it would help if they knew about the history of the medical field, the history of real estate in this city. Who was the first African American elected citywide in St. Louis? People in politics, many people in politics probably don't know that. Many people probably don't know the impact that the doctors and the hospital, Homer G. Phillips itself, had on this city. The impact that education has had, the teachers that were teaching back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, how we got to where we are today on the backs of those people. So we're going to add an education component which will teach the history of different occupations and vocations.
Actually, Harris is located in the old Mill Creek area, is that right?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Correct.
That has a history of itself. Mill Creek.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Mill Creek, Bernie, in a hospital that's no longer there. It was on Garrison and Lawton. Healthcare has been a real issue for African Americans in the city of St. Louis, and still is today.
Yeah, I know the documentary recently came out last year, The Color of Medicine, the story of Homer G. Phillips Hospital. It was very educational. I'm quite sure that those who are viewing us right now, if they have not seen that, should see that. because Evelyn Preston, you've lived this history, you've been a part of this history. So what's your vision for the new African American Chamber of Commerce?
The education component, more information, specializing. If people are in medicine or construction, some history about that, connecting them. We've even reached out and doing some things now, even with the Virgin Islands.
Wow, that's great.
So it's an African American Chamber. We worked very closely in years past with the Hispanic Chamber here.
Okay.
And we have a very good relationship with them, and just working together. We have found that working together works, and we're going to reach out more inclusiveness and educating them about what they can do and about opportunities even beyond St. Louis that they could bring to St. Louis or go wherever. The Virgin Islands is talking about some things that we could possibly do together down there.
Right. Evelyn Preston is my guest, and we're here at the New Life Evangelistic Center, and we'll be right back after this.
The Bernie Hayes program is produced at NLEC TV right here at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. It's our new headquarters since they closed the 1411 Locust building. We're working to get back into that building. In addition to that, trying to help so many people through a wide variety of safe houses, training programs, transportation assistance, so many ways people are getting help because of all of you that are supporting the work of New Life Evangelistic Center. Now, if you'll send a gift of $25 or more, we want to send you this special, the Bernie Hayes Show cup. And we're giving that to people. It's just a way of saying thank you. So when you send your gift, request a cup. We'll be happy to get it off to you. It's New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. That's 63166. You can give online at nlecstl.org. Now I'm really asking all of you to join us in praying. The needs are so phenomenal at this particular time. So many hurting and homeless people are contacting us daily, but we're able to help them because of each one of you that are praying, caring, and sharing at this time. Tell your families and friends about NLEC TV and get directly involved yourself.
Our subject today is Bernard Lafayette, black activist and organizer, born in 1940. He's an advocate for nonviolence. In 1960, Lafayette assisted in the formation of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and in 1961, the Congress of Racial Equality initiated the Freedom Rides. In May 1961, in Montgomery, Alabama, Lafayette and others were greeted at the bus terminal by members of the Ku Klux Klan chapters and were viciously attacked. In late 1964, the board of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference decided to join the ongoing Alabama Project and chose Selma as a focal point to gain voting rights for African Americans. In early 1965, they organized a series of public demonstrations that finally led up with the march from Selma to Montgomery. Lafayette went on to work in the 1966 Chicago Open Housing Movement, and he has been recognized as a major authority on strategies for nonviolent change. Bernard Lafayette.
God has a miracle waiting for you. Will you take time and just get alone with Him? Let the wind remind you of the power of the Holy Spirit. Let His rivers of living water affirm within you that He desires to do exceedingly abundantly beyond what you can even ask or think. Dare to believe God at this particular moment. And as you ask Him, unlock the unlimited, where He says, ask and it shall be given you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. Jesus says, come to me, all you who labor, all you who are worn down, and I will give you rest. There's a miracle awaiting you. Get alone with God and let His miracle unfold as you allow the power of His Word to take root within your life. And as you do that, you will see Him do exceedingly abundantly beyond what you can even ask or think. Truly, God is at work. Don't give up at this moment. Give it to Him and let His light and this love shine upon you and work through you and give you His peace that passes all understanding.
And welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes, and my guest is Evelyn Preston of the African American Chamber of Commerce, formerly the Black Chamber of Commerce here in St. Louis, Missouri. And Ms. Preston, there's so much that you've done. Tell us about Evelyn Preston. You were born and raised in St. Louis?
Born and raised in St. Louis, Bernie. I graduated Soldan High School, but as I said, born and raised in Mill Creek.
Mm-hmm.
I attended Harris Teachers College.
That was before Harris Stowe, right? Before it was Harris Stowe.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
But my interest, always been interested in politics. Worked with Mr. Tyus, Leroy Tyus, the first African-American elected west of Kings Highway.
Sure.
That was in 1957.
Yeah.
He was very passionate about politics. For an African-American to win west of Kings Highway was a big thing. He won that election by 3 votes. And he looked at me that night and he said, now that I've been elected here, I know we can get Bill Clay elected in the 26th Ward. That was in 57. And in 59, I mean, we worked to get Bill in, and he was elected in 59. And that was a big thing for the city of St. Louis.
He eventually became the congressman for the 1st District.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
But as a result of that, I was offered a position in Jefferson City as a secretary in the Missouri legislature. And that gave me an opportunity to finish up my last 2 years at Lincoln University also. But working with Mr. Vern Calloway in the office with Mr. Calloway,
Yes.
Mrs. Calloway, John Conley, and Mr. James Troop. And you know, I would sit there, Bernie, and I would watch them. I never really saw them go in the chamber because people came to them.
Sure.
They were over the money.
Right.
Also, walking down the hall, I saw a picture of Mr. Leroy Tyus in the Missouri legislature. And I thought, as a little girl, I was about 5 years old, Mr. Tyus, I was with Mr. Tyus and my dad standing outside of Washington Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church and handing out literature. And I thought about that. And I said, Mr. Tyus was running for the legislature at that time, and the difference that he made was connected to Brown versus the Board of Education. If he had not been in that Missouri legislature to draw up the lines and some of the rules and whatnot, or things that would take place as a result of that Brown versus the Board of Education integration of schools, we would have lost a lot of African-American teachers.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Ms. Preston. You have so much history, and you so much. Are you writing a book, or have you written a book?
That's interesting. You would say that. No, I haven't, but I'm gonna get on that while I can still kind of have some of it up here.
It looks like you must, because of so much history, so much I've learned from you just sitting here today. And you know, we talk so often, but it's been about 3 or 4 years since we talked before. But there's so much history, and I sincerely hope that you will put all this in print. And who was that you brought with you today? We only have about a minute left.
Okay, I have a friend and a neighbor, Ann Dortch, here with me.
Ann Dortch.
Yes.
I know that name, Dortch, and so many people who've done so much by the name of Dortch, and I'm sure that's part of her family. Is that right?
Yeah, her daughter and sons have done very well. One of her sons is an executive producer with Oprah Winfrey.
Right.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, she's proud of him, a proud mama.
I can imagine. I just want to say thank you so much, Evelyn Preston. You're always such a delight, always so full of knowledge, and always such a wonderful, wonderful person. And it's so good for me to be able to call you a friend. Thank you so much for visiting us today.
Likewise, Bernie.
And we'll be right back with telling you how we can help the New Life Evangelistic Center. We're 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. Larry Rice has been here more than 50 years providing services for those in need, and we're trying to reopen 1411 Locust Street. And with your help, we shall. Hope you've got your shots, hope you're vaccinated. Please stay safe. I'm Bernie Hayes. Have a great day.